Welcome all to the Pro Football Radio Podcast, episode number 8. This is your co-host here, Jay Cheema, with the pride and joy of Merrimack, New Hampshire, one Da Puma.
Dude, that's 2 weeks in a row now that we got the hometown right. Who would have thought we would have been up to 8 episodes by now?
I thought this thing was going to crash and burn at 4.
That's like a short milestone. Like, there was a couple of times during the Super Bowl, I thought one of us was going to hit somebody with a chair. Like,
oh, yeah, those were some rough times.
It was a good time.
Some fun times. You know what's been kind of bugging me lately is the fact that you have a cool nickname like the Da Puma, and I'm sitting here with just Jay Cheema.
But the name flows. It's
I guess so.
It sounds like cologne, like Body by Jay Cheema. Like,
I can see that.
You know, Dio by Armani. I don't know. If you guys couldn't tell, we're off to, and by we I mean me, the resident alcoholic of the group, drinking the pride and joy of Austin, Texas, Tito's handmade vodka. So it's gonna be a good episode.
I'm drinking some Sprite like a kid.
Yeah, the 12-year-old of the group. Cheers to your Shirley Temple man. Over there.
Yeah, that's how you been, man. You good?
Doing good, man. Yeah. Doing good. You know, getting ready for winter to be over.
Oh, dude, you're right. So around this time of the year, I think March for me is the cutoff point. I think anything before March, it is winter, so it is what it is. But after March, man, like March 1st, I get annoyed. I want it to be nice and, amazing out. But obviously, we're not at that point just yet.
Preach. Look at my driveway. Fucking
yeah,
gravel shit. I got snow. It's like off-roading. I'm on the fucking moon landing. Yeah, I'm on the moon landing. It's great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it is what it is. But hopefully soon enough,
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about, man?
I mean, ad nauseum, Brown was almost a Bill. I went to bed, literally, like, people that follow me on Twitter, Brando_Puma, look at that, shameless plug. On Twitter, I went to sleep Thursday night, Wednesday night, everything was fine. Brown was still a Steeler. Yeah. And I wake up to like 19 notifications the following morning
like 3 more from me.
From you.
And then, where you at?
And then from Schefter and Ian Rappaport being like, a deal's in the making. It sounds like he's gonna be a Buffalo Bill. More details to come. And then I'm going down the feed and it's nowhere. It looked like Brown put the kibosh on it.
Brown still had a better career than Nathan Peterman as a Bill.
You know what? At the end of the day, listen, we're talking about someone's job here.
Right?
I get it.
He was still a better Buffalo Bill than Nathan Peterman.
No doubt. Yo, I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks that I actually applaud Buffalo for even making the move. Like they had the draft pick. They had what Pittsburgh wanted. Sure. It's just it came down to the money because word on the street is AB again wants to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. The Bills, I think, were a little restricted by the salary cap. So, and according to AB, who wants to play in Buffalo? And AB's not speaking for all of us. Like, I actually like what Buffalo's doing up there with the quarterback that they have, and that other rookie they had last year at linebacker. I think it was what's that guy's name? Tremaine.
I don't know.
Tremaine something. Hang on, I'm gonna pull up.
I've watched 2 Buffalo Bill games last year, and they were both losses to the Patriots.
Hang on, we're gonna fact check real quick. But long story short,
that's cool. And when you do that, I think it was a great. I guess they had the heart in the right place.
Yeah,
they want to go ahead and give Josh Allen some sort of help, and I think Antonio Brown would have been absolutely amazing. What's interesting here is, it's funny how Antonio Brown has circumvented the NFL and is dictating where he goes.
Right.
Because you don't have this in the NFL. The NFL, it's a team / I guess NFL brand over the players itself. But for somehow Antonio Brown is dictating where he's going. And that's interesting to me because the NBA is all about that, but the NFL is not about that. These owners will not give up power to a player to dictate where he goes. So it's interesting that he somehow got to that point, but I applaud him, and I truly do, because let's face it, these I truly believe the NFL players are the most underpaid out of both the NBA and MLB players, and they do deserve some sort of say in where they go. But it's interesting that he's actually living that out.
And I'm with you, but like at the end of the day, he's in theory, he's still under contract, and it was Tremaine. It was
But
Tremaine
it's a crap
Edwards.
contract. 1 year guaranteed, 3 years of crap. You know how the Steelers contracts are.
But you know, a contract's a contract. But for fact checking
But
purposes,
then
it
again,
was Tremaine.
to my point, though, then the teams don't live to the contracts as well.
Right,
They always
right.
cut,
Hang on, but it was Tremaine Edmonds that was also drafted as the cornerstone of that defense, and that's a sneaky good defense in and of itself in Buffalo. But my point being as well too is now, if you do the timeline, AB did not do himself any fucking favors with that SportsCenter interview saying, you know, I don't need football and all this other nonsense. Mm-hmm. And then the only deal that you had up until recording right now on Saturday was the Buffalo Bills. Everything else has been quiet. The only other team out there that could possibly, one, have the draft collateral or whatever, and the air quote salary cap space is Oakland. Mm-hmm. Like, they have a shit ton of first round draft picks. They're, I think, fifth or sixth in available cap space. If AB wants to be the highest paid wide receiver again in the league, it's either Oakland or bust. If Oakland doesn't pull a deal off, I don't think he's leaving Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think you're right there, man. I think John Gruden, if he was smart, he would give up one of those first round picks that he has and get some AB on the team. And if I was, I don't know what his plans are at quarterback, but even AB and Derek Carr are not bad at all.
That's not bad.
That'd be a great first year and kind of build off that. If he gets Kyler Murray somehow, which the rumors are out there day in and day out about how Kyler Murray's going to be.
The worst kept secret in football.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I was thinking about that the other day. Maybe it's just Cliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals just blowing smoke up everybody's
That's
ass.
what I'm thinking too. You know? We can get to that in a minute.
It's like way too much information about a prospect. But no, I think if somehow he ends up with the Raiders, that'd be a great move. They're going to Las Vegas obviously in a year. I think that'd be a great home run for everybody involved.
And not only does it sell, tickets to that new stadium in Vegas, he gets more money because there's no income tax in Nevada.
Yeah, what's funny? I was thinking about that because, I believe Florida, right?
Yep, that's why I was surprised Jarvis Landry left.
Right, so Florida, Texas, and Nevada, correct? Are the three states where there's no income tax?
I don't know about Texas. I know the great state of New Hampshire, live free or die, does not have an income tax.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see.
Didn't realize that till I moved down here.
But no, I don't understand how some of these. I wonder if that's an actual deciding factor for some of these players. If when they sit down with their agents and their agents are like, "Yo, listen, maybe you should go to a Florida-based team because you'll get 20% more money."
Well, I know.
I know I would. I'd be like,
to cross sports real quick. I know that kind of came up with Manny Machado when he signed that big contract with the San Diego Padres.
First of all, who's Manny Machado?
He is a shortstop, third baseman now for the San Diego. I
know nothing about baseball.
Long story short, he is air quote a Florida resident. So if he's able to maintain at least I think 180 days in Florida, he still counts as a Florida resident. That way, he doesn't really have to give the state of California a income tax. Yeah,
and the state of California is the absolute worst with taxes.
I mean, people are leaving California in droves.
Yeah,
not to get into politics.
Well, I'm just saying they call it the weather tax for a reason, So
yeah, but like I said, Oakland or Vegas or bust.
Yeah.
And they got to make a decision because they have until March 17th before Pittsburgh has to pay him a $2.7 million roster bonus.
Yeah. So the one thing that I don't, I'm hearing this a little bit more and more now, and I think you mentioned this as well. There's no way in hell he's a Steeler next year. There's no way in hell he's on that roster next year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Because if you bring him back next year, man, that's another lost year. I mean, that's another year of him pouting, another year of ESPN and Fox Sports is leading with that day in and day out, that cancer in the locker room. I think at this point you gotta trade him. There's no way you can bring him back, but there is some steam there. If I believe, this is what I truly believe. If the Raiders can't pull off a deal, I think he'll probably end up still being a Steeler next year.
Right, because there's no way we can agree on this that there is no way Pittsburgh down and lets him sign with any team.
Go Patriots.
But we can agree though that there's no way Pittsburgh's going to let that happen. The possibility of playing them definitely once a year and then possibly a second time in the playoffs. There's no way. They would rather eat that locker room nonsense for one more year of him on the roster.
You know what I would like though? I would like to see him and Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. That would be kind of nice. Him, Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry.
But here's
that'd be fun. That'd be fun to watch, man.
So the bar the GM set was, we want a 1 and a 2. We don't want to trade them in the division or to our division rivals. But here's the Bills, who they're definitely going to play at least once a year, having a They had the draft collateral that they needed with the 9th overall pick. Who knows if Cleveland is able to part ways with the draft pick and they have the cap space?
Yeah.
If they are able to entertain the GM with an offer, I mean, listen, hey, you got to pull the trigger on that. Yeah. Who cares?
Looking at that division, the AFC North, obviously Cleveland would be a great spot. But could you imagine him paired up with with AJ Green and AJ Dalton?
That'd be insane.
That would be insane. Yeah. Opposite sides and see him twice a year. That would be great. That'd be amazing storylines.
Yep.
The one team that I don't think he would do good with will be the Baltimore Ravens, just because Lamar Jackson can't throw a fucking football. You know what I'm saying?
Unless between now and then he's able to throw the football down.
Lamar Jackson. Let me tell you something that happened this week. I ended up in a staff meeting at work, bored out of my mind, right? And I started Googling NFL players for some reason. I don't know why. And I ended up on a website called Cameo. Have you heard of this website or no?
Cameo? No.
Yeah. So Cameo, the whole premise behind Cameo is you go online, you pay, I don't know, a certain amount of money, and some celebrity or athlete will give you a personalized message that you want them to say, right? So if you go online and you say, hey, listen, I can't say happy anniversary to my wife somehow. Can you please say it for me for this amount of money? That's basically the gist of this whole website is. They get athletes and stars and people in pop culture to just say stuff that you want them to say to your loved ones, right? And
so if I really wanted to, I could have... Let's see.
You could have Lamar Jackson.
I could have Lamar Jackson or Kenyon Drake.
You could have Lamar Jackson say, Tara Evans, I love you. Apparently, you can't say it yourself somehow, right?
God, I hate 2019.
No, dude, it was such a fucking radical idea. Because I'm like, why would you want to do this? For what reason? But it got funnier. And this is what the genesis of our game is this week. It's game time, everybody, right?
Oh, Christ.
It's called Over Under. And I want you to guess what amount of money will it take for the first person to be Lamar Jackson to send somebody a personalized message, right?
Okay.
So Lamar Jackson, his over under is $300 for a 15-second message. Do you think it's over or under that?
I'll take the under.
You took the under?
I'll take the under.
It's actually over at $350 for
him to say
for a crap 15-second.
He can barely talk. I listened to his interview on draft day.
Right.
$350 for trash?
$350, you can get 15 seconds of whatever you want him to say. You could be like, I Lamar Jackson suck, and he'll say it, you know?
Oh my God. Okay.
All right, so next one. Darren Rovell. You remember this piece of crap?
Who the hell's that?
He's a business insider on ESPN. Remember he gives all the business insights? Darren Rovell. You know who that is? Well, he gives the business insider news, and his over-under is $100. You think it's over or under that?
It's ESPN, so I might take the over. You might be out of a job pretty soon. Gotta get that cash.
$39.
Really?
What a piece of crap.
So I'm 0-2 right now. Fuck.
Puma. And it's not just sports, man. They actually delve into other topics and other industries as well.
If you tell me a Kardashian or Kanye is on there, I'm going to walk off the set.
Why would you walk off the set? It'd be fucking hilarious.
Anyone that listened to episode 7 with my little rant about the Kardashians.
Oh, I know you love the Kardashians.
And how it's OJ's fault.
So we're going to get
fucking
that.
OJ.
You know, speaking of which, it's not OJ's fault. It's Ray J's fault.
Anywho,
no,
okay.
No. Look, let me correct you. It's not OJ that did this. Ray J did this. He put his penis inside of Kim Kardashian.
Here we go.
And now we're,
it's still OJ's fault.
Regardless, I digress. Flavor Fave is at $100 is over under. Do you think it's over or under that?
Over.
$150, you're correct.
Yeah, one for 4.
So for $150, he will send you a personalized message.
Jesus.
Stormy Daniels is on this website.
Over. Don't even tell me the total. I'm taking the over.
What if the over was like $1,000?
Taking the over. She allegedly boinked Trump, just dropped a book deal, and was one step away from testifying in Congress. I am taking the over on that, good sir.
$250.
Really?
Yeah.
So was I right or wrong? I didn't hear the total. I didn't hear what the bar was.
The bar was $100.
Oh, so I was right. I took the over.
It's $250.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Dude, this whole premise is so sad. Why would you want somebody to say something?
Listen, was AB on this thing too?
We will get there.
Oh, Jesus
We'll get there.
Christ.
We'll
Okay.
get there. I did some research.
Thank God he has Drew Rosenhaus.
I did absolutely nothing in a 2-hour meeting in regards to our budget numbers. And instead of looking at what Cameo Stars were able.
I'm like that 70s show right now with the lady mixing like 2 bottles of vodka in a fishbowl. Like that is me right now with this game.
Next up, Wesley Snipes is on this website.
Okay.
Right? His
All right.
over-under is $300.
All right, so those kids that don't know who Wesley Snipes is, he was in Blade, all those like Blade.
Speaking of which, I've never seen that movie.
Blade Vampire. The first one's great.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's like the only vampire movie I'll watch. Like none of that glistening in the sun pussy bullshit. Like Wesley
You're not a
Snipes.
big fan of New Moon?
Fuck Twilight. Don't get me started.
You almost said Twatlight.
Probably be better on browsers. Anyways, so all right, what was the bar?
The bar for Wesley Snipes was $300.
All right, he just got out of jail for tax evasion. I'll take the over.
$500.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, somebody you love. Somebody I know when I saw this name, I had to put on this list. I know Mr. Da Puma absolutely loves Caitlyn/Bruce Jenner, who can send you a personalized message, right? And the over-under is at $300.
$300. I mean, okay, so last we checked, she still had the plumbing, so maybe she's got to pay for the sex assignment surgery.
Let me go off on a tangent before we get to that. I think society should give you a window into accept somebody's sexuality. Because I know, like, when Bruce went to Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, God, we're going down this rabbit
when
hole.
When Caitlyn went to Bruce Jenner, everybody got offended that you couldn't get on board with that. But I think they should give you at least 2 to 3 months to figure out that, like, hey, mentally you're okay with this. You know what I'm saying? I know it doesn't matter what I think, but for my whole life, I knew Bruce Jenner as this amazing Olympic athlete. And the next thing,
wait on a sec. You knew Bruce Jenner was an amazing Olympic athlete, but you didn't know who Wesley Snipes was.
Yes, the Wheaties box.
Okay.
So
okay.
no, but you understand what I'm saying though? Like people, like at the end of the day, they're always like, well, you gotta accept him for who he is or who she is. But like, I just like 3 days ago I thought it was Bruce Jenner. So like, you gotta give us some sort of window. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying here? Like, yes or no? Or am I just kind of
like the 5 stages of grieving, but with whether or not someone's a male or a female? Is that what we're getting at?
I guess so. Yeah, man.
Jesus, we are going up. How long? Are we
Regardless.
All right. I'm gonna take the over. You gotta pay for some surgery.
$1,000 for a crap 15-second message for Caitlyn Jenner.
So wait a minute, you're telling me I could pay $1,000 for Caitlyn Jenner to be like, Tara, this is Caitlyn. I just wanted to say that Brandon Da Puma loves you. Thank you.
Exactly. And if you don't get that a message to her for her birthday.
Listen, that impersonation was not meant for anyone to at me being a bigot, but it is what it is.
Brandon,
that is what Caitlyn sounds like.
You bigot, Brandon.
I know. Fuck me.
You know what's funny about that? She's the highest person on that website.
$1,000?
$1,000.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yep. Next up, our good friend Antonio Brown is on this website.
Oh, good.
Antonio Brown will say what you want him to say for a certain amount. The over-under is at $300.
Listen, he might not be playing football, okay? And he's trying to get a new contract. I'm taking the over.
Ooh, smart move. $500. $500.
So $500 for me to pay Antonio Brown to possibly be in a weight room to say, yo, Da Puma, just want to say it's your boy AB, happy birthday.
Like, yeah, you can pay him that, but it's not going to be good quality. Because I was reading some of the comments on the reviews of Antonio Brown, and this is one of the comments. Some unsatisfied customer said, he said the business name wrong and looked clearly scripted. If he could redo it, that would be greatly appreciated.
Now, I'm trying to figure out what makes me more, upset. Like, the fact that he can't even do something for 15 seconds right? Or the fact that people paid upwards of $500 for him to say shit.
Of course he's gonna be scripted. He doesn't give a fuck. He just wants to be.
Are you for real? Come on. You're not paying a public speaker to say shit. He doesn't even have any lines when he's doing Fortnite dances with Juju Smith-Schuster on a Pizza Hut commercial, for Christ's sake.
I have a strict policy. I'm not talking about Fortnite in this show.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm not a big fan.
I appreciate
that. So from here on out, let's never talk about Fortnite.
Sounds good.
But yeah, man, Antonio Brown, and apparently he's doing a crap job at it as well. I guess that's why he doesn't.
So wait,
that's why he doesn't have a contract yet.
He's halfway to Caitlyn Jenner. That we established that just now.
Yeah, I don't understand how Caitlyn Jenner is like the top person on this.
Like,
website.
I'm not trying to be an ass. Like, I didn't realize Caitlyn was still relevant after that ESPY thing.
Dude, I guess there's a lot of money in the sex change industry. Business is booming.
I'm not going down that road.
You should go down that road.
I am not going down. I am not having my Twitter blow up with like fucking block Da Puma on Twitter.
Block Da Puma.
Because are you kidding me? People are afraid of their own fucking shadow on Twitter. I'm probably gonna get shit for being like, oh my god, he did an impersonation of Caitlyn. How dare he?
Let's move on to the next person on this list.
Fuck.
The worst thing is, man, there are people that are on this website that I would never have thought would be on this website, right? So the next one is Katie Couric, esteemed journalist.
She still has a job?
Whoa.
Does she still have a job?
Yeah, dude. She's on like one of those Today shows, like one of the million Today shows.
Is she? I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought she got fired.
No. So her over-under is at $300. Is it over or under?
Under. She's like barely relevant.
$200, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really, right now, for those of you keeping score, I've only missed like the first 2 or 3, right?
I'm not keeping score.
There's someone out there that's keeping score. I think I only missed like the first 2 or 3. We'll check that.
Matt Leinart, former USC quarterback.
The guy on ESPN now?
The guy on Fox Sports now.
Oh, Fox. My bad.
Yeah, his over-under is at $500.
Oh, God. He's on Fox. I'll take the under.
You're right. $100.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's got that good contract from Fox. Yo, Fox is backing the Brinks truck up, man.
But it's $100 for Matt Leinart? Like,
who's going to know who Matt Leinart is?
What a piece of crap. $100. What a piece of crap.
Unless you watch that 30 for 30 Trojan War, like, no one's really going to know who Leinart is.
And I just threw this in because this is the lowest amount dollar on the list. A guy by the name of Ishmael Zamora. He's a Raiders wide receiver that drafted a couple of years ago. He's still in the league. His over-under is $100. And obviously, since I said it's lower, but I want you to guess what his price actually is.
I have to guess?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know it's under.
It's under $100.
$30.
Lower.
15.
Lower.
5.
$5 is what he's accepting for a 15-second message. First of all, who wants a happy birthday from Ishmael Zamora?
But you know what? Hang on a sec. We all know one person, whether it's like at work or in our personal lives, where someone is so cheap they should be the spokesperson for Cheapo Air. Like, I got this guy for $5 to say happy birthday.
Who?
No, we're not going down that road.
Who wants a message from Ishmael Zamora?
Someone that's cheap.
Dude,
if you
$5, I could get a Starbucks coffee.
If you didn't step on my bit,
listen. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
The bit's over. The bit's over. I'm probably gonna be out of a job now. Thanks.
It's okay. You can work at Clay Lacy.
Thanks.
Listen. The funny thing is though.
Yo, it's your boy Ishmael. Tune in to Pro Football Radio Podcast.
Yeah, I had a grand old time with this list, man. I just spent 2 hours just looking through the website. They really have people like Brett Favre, Brian Urlacher, James Ward, the Patriots. There's a lot of people on this website, and it just goes to show you some people will do whatever it takes for money.
Right. I mean, Jesus, you got bills to pay, man. You got agents to pay for. You might, if you're Antonio Brown, you might be out of a job. Now, to get this back on the fucking football rails here, we going to Washington or we going to Arizona? Where are we going first?
Let's go to Arizona.
Okay, so for those of you that haven't tuned into television or watch anything on the Combine, or for some reason this is your first time listening to this episode, word on the street is Arizona is probably going to be shipping Josh Rosen, and they're probably going to draft Kyler Murray.
Makes no sense.
And they're probably going to draft Kyler Murray first overall. Now, this is kind of like a mix of two things. Are you buying or selling Josh Rosen being shipped out of Arizona? And if you are buying him being traded, where do you think he's going to go?
7-Eleven, the gas station, because he is fucking trash.
You know what? Okay. Say your bit, and I'll have mine.
Listen, first of all, this whole thing with the Cardinals, the more I think about it, the more I think it's just smoke. I think it's just smoke. There's no way that you gave up so much last year to go up and get Josh Rosen, and a year in, you're already ready to move on from him. And if that's the case, then you're a fucking stupid organization.
What are they traded up the first round pick, and they traded like a second round pick too, right?
So they gave up a decent amount of I guess assets for Josh Rosen. But then a year later, they're ready to move on for him. I don't know. And maybe it is. Maybe it's true. Maybe draft day comes around and Kyler Murray is a Cardinal. But if that's the case, then you're fucking stupid and you deserve to lose. You know what I'm saying? You bring in a head coach that barely won in college, right? You're gonna move on from a draft pick you spent so much on to get a crappier quarterback prospect, in my personal opinion. At this point, I'd rather have Josh Rosen than Kyler Murray, truthfully. Right? And you're going to move on from him and go ahead and get Kyler Murray in the center. So I don't understand that one bit. And if he was to move, like, I don't know, man. Like, I guess the Patriots, people are saying that Bill Belichick might call up and try to get Josh Rosen, whatever, who cares? But I don't know, man. Like, I just don't see the logic behind it. And I think the more I think about it logically, I think it's just smoke screen from the Cardinals. They can't be that dumb.
That's what I'm thinking.
They cannot be that dumb to move on that quickly from.
That's what I'm thinking too. And I'm with you with they paid so much to get Josh. They traded up from like 15 to 12 and they gave up, the second round pick. They gave up that first round and maybe one other pick. Did Josh Rosen look bad? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Was some of it his fault?
Yes.
Yes, it was. But dude, he had a first year head coach. His offensive coordinator didn't make it past 5 or 6 games. They had Byron Leftwich in as his offensive coordinator. They didn't get DJ the ball to take any heat off of him. His offensive line was a joke. And let's face facts, I love Larry Legend. It is not Larry Legend of 10 years ago. So he really didn't even have that fair of a shake. So I don't
buy that though. I do not buy that though. I think
what offensive weapons did he have?
Listen, it's not the fact that he didn't win. That's totally fine. It's the fact that he looked incompetent when he played.
You know what? You know who else looked incompetent their first year? Jared Goff.
And how did Jared Goff look in the Super Bowl? Incompetent.
But how did he look years 2 and 3? Seriously, how did he look years 2 and 3? Take the Super Bowl out. How did he look years 2 and 3?
All right, I guess.
Right?
I mean, when you have a good team around you, it's easy to look good. When you have Todd Gurley and a great defense behind you, then you look good. I get that. You're looking at me like I'm stupid, John.
His first year was trash with Fisher. Second year, he didn't have Sue. He didn't have Brandon Cooks.
So why does Sue come into play here when he's a great quarterback?
Because you were talking about defense. Really, all they had on defense was Aaron Donald.
All I'm saying is, with this team that's constructed with the Rams, if you stick Josh Rosen in it, it'll be the same exact results. I think he's the same guy. He's just a middle of the pack kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? Jared Goff is not at that upper echelon of quarterbacks level.
Okay.
He's Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and Tom Brady.
I didn't say he was Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees incarnate.
That's what the upper echelon of quarterbacks is.
So where's Ben Roethlisberger then?
Underneath that, second tier. The way I see it is, you have Brady, Brees, Rodgers. Tier 1. Tier 2, you have Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger. Those kind of tier 2 players, and I think he's probably tier 3, man.
No. Long story short. Arizona.
You would take Jared Goff over those 6 quarterbacks that I just named off?
Let's see. Drew Brees can't throw the football down the field right now. Tom Brady is only hitting people on slant passes.
Oh, the fucking
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
All I see is 6-time Super Bowl champion.
Okay, 6-time Super Bowl champions. How many passes were to Julian Edelman in a slant?
Keep going.
How many passes were to Julian Edelman in a slant?
Would you have Jared Goff over Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Would you have him over Ben Roethlisberger?
Maybe.
Would you have him over Russell Wilson?
That's a tie. That's a pick'em.
Oh my
God!
That's a 2-time Super Bowl champion and 2-time Super Bowl appearance over fucking Jared Goff?
Okay, Jared Goff has 1 Super Bowl appearance. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, but Jared Goff, he can't even make decisions by himself. What
are you talking about? Are you for real?
Yes, I'm for real.
Oh my God!
So that story, I'll bring that story up again. We talked about it in the past.
Okay, everyone, hang on. Before we start talking the story of, oh my God, Sean McVay is feeding the plays in at 15 seconds until the cutoff. Everybody, newsflash, everybody in the fucking NFL is doing that.
Yeah, but then again, everybody after 15 seconds makes those decisions to change the play.
And then after 15 seconds, Jared Goff can go with what Sean McVay's talking about? or check out and do a Halle Berry audible that we've all heard on Mic'd Up ad nauseum for a couple of weeks. So what are we talking about here?
I'm just saying that Jared Goff is trash. You know
I'm saying you're trash.
He looked completely irrelevant in that Super Bowl. He made no throws out. I mean, he missed some wide open people. Regardless, I don't know why we're getting on this track here, but let's bring it back to the cover.
Anywho, long story short, 2 quick points. One, Sean McVay came out on Monday saying that he didn't adjust properly and didn't get Gurley involved and all this other nonsense. And 2, what I was saying in pre-production earlier this week was that I think they're going to take Nick Bosa, they being the Cardinals, taking great. Nick Bosa as the safety pick because there is too much at stake with taking Kyler Murray. He didn't work out at the combine. He only did his measurements. He's going to do his measurements again at Pro Day for some reason. And then he's going to hopefully not shit the money bed when it comes to throwing passes and all this other shit at the Pro Day. There is a lot at stake at the Oklahoma Pro Day. If he shits the money bed, his stock could fall really quickly, and Nick Bosa is going to be their safety pick.
I think if you pair Nick Bosa and Chandler Jones up in that defensive line, that would be amazing.
Yep.
That'd be nice to see those two getting off the quarterback. So, regardless, I think the Cardinals should stick with Josh Rosen for another year or so. It's too early to tell. Mm-hmm. I think if Cliff Kingsbury wants to make a splash, he will go with Kyler Murray. But I think he should really, I don't know, use his head and not go with with Murray and try to stick with Rosen, you know?
Rosen didn't have a fair shake. That's my thing.
You think so?
No, absolutely not. That offensive line was a sieve. Me, you, and one of our former colleagues, or one of your former colleagues, Warren, could be a defensive lineman and go through the A, B, and C gap and sack Josh Rosen. That was a sieve.
Yeah. All joking aside, truthfully, I think it would be nice to see Josh Rosen get just a fair shake in the NFL. Try to surround him with some sort of talent. See if he can actually play quarterback. There are some serious character issues from everything I hear. Apparently, he's not the best teammate. He's very arrogant, and that's big when you try to build a team. If it was a singular sport like tennis, I get that you can be as cocky and brash as you want. When you build a team, it's important to be a good team player. You don't want to be a big Ben Roethlisberger, alienating your wide receivers, right? So.
But he didn't. I mean,
I know far stretch of a comparison, but I think the underlying issue of him being a good teammate is what I'm trying to get to. If that makes sense. So.
Growing pains.
So
we'll see. If I'm not giving him a free pass, if that's true, and say he is on a roster next year and he is starting and he is the squeaky wheel year 2, I will completely buy that.
Sure. So next up, the other big news of the week was a middle of the pack quarterback by the name of Case Keenum got shipped off from Denver, who got Joe Flacco starting, which is another middle of the pack quarterback apparently. Shipped off to the Redskins, who I assume the reason they made that trade was because Alex Smith is nowhere ready to go ahead and start next year. Who Alex Smith is also middle of the pack at the quarterback. So it's just a lot of middle of the pack quarterbacks being traded around for no fucking reason.
But you know what? In Washington's circumstance, they needed to make that trade.
Why is that?
Because they part ways with a sixth or seventh round draft pick next year. They split Case Keenum's $7.5 million salary. So Denver's picking up $3.5 and Washington's picking up the other $3.5. And for an organization that has no problem spending cash in the Washington Redskins, we can all admit that Washington likes to spend money hand over fist at times. This deal makes sense. Like, they get a quarterback on the relative cheap. They don't have to give up a whole lot. They only have to part ways with $3.5 million, and whatever's left of their salary cap after Alex Smith's contract, which I think he's still guaranteed $19 million this year, they can fill at other needs like wide receiver, running back. I think that's a great move. I think it's a solid move by Washington. And to play the what if game, let's see what happens when they have an offensive line that's healthy. They have a rookie running back coming back for this season that missed last year with an ACL injury. And for Christ's sake, can we actually have an aerial attack? Because the only person that was there, in air quotes, was Jordan Reed. Because Jamison Crowder was nowhere to be found. And, insert name here was at wide receiver.
Yeah, truthfully, this doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The trade happened, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. They're not going to vie for that division. Obviously, I think that's between Philadelphia and the Cowboys to win that division. This is just let's not be a really crappy team. Let's be in the middle of the road, which makes no sense to me. I think you would rather either be really good in the NFL or be really bad in the NFL, because that way you can either vie for a Super Bowl or go and get some draft picks, some high draft picks.
Right.
Being middle of the road makes no sense to me. So
right.
I don't understand why they made this trade, because you can just stick Colt McCoy in there.
Well, that's the thing.
Who's the same as that quarterback, in my personal opinion.
That's the thing is Jay Gruden came out and said that the quarterback position is still going to be up for grabs. So essentially, this was one to actually get a second quarterback on the roster, because the guy that finished the season last year, Josh Johnson, is actually a free agent right now. So really all they had was Colt McCoy. He was also coming off of a broken fibula that I think he got while playing against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
I remember that. I remember back-to-back weeks like the Redskins went through some serious injuries.
Yeah. So it's not like it's not a given that Colt's going to get the job. It's not a given that Case is going to get the job. And they get a quarterback on the roster on the relative cheap.
Yeah. That
they can spend the rest of the cash on other positions. Absolutely. You have to make that deal.
Yeah, man. It's just a middle of the pack quarterback between both Colt McCoy and Case Keenum. They're not going to do anything great this year. They're not going to win the division.
Where are they in the draft this year?
Who, the Redskins?
Yeah.
I think they're fairly high up there, aren't they?
I think so.
They had a bad
because I mean, rusher. If they were going to take a quarterback, they probably would not have made this move. Like they might have taken Drew Lock or I think there's a kid out of Duke. I forget his name, but they would have taken a quarterback in the draft. So I think this is a great move. I think it makes sense. I'm not saying that they're going to win the division, but let's actually see what happens when they get their rookie running back back healthy, see what happens, and they actually get some pass catchers around Case or Colt. But let's see.
Yeah, they're at pick 15 in the NFL draft, so right in the middle. And that's to go show you they're going to be in the middle of the pack next year and this year. So it is what it is.
We'll see.
Yeah. So. Yeah, man. I think at the end of the day, it's a trade we have to talk about, but it's not going to really constitute anything. Who do you think wins the division, by the way?
What, the NFC East?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Philly?
Well,
I think so.
Yeah.
They have a lot of holes now, too, because Michael Bennett's gone and Golden Tate's a free agent. And, we all know what everyone's going to say about Carson Wentz. It could go Philly or it could go Dallas. I'm kind of going Philadelphia's going to win the division.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Philadelphia and Dallas somewhere in that. So, the notable cuts and franchise tag snubs, what are you thinking is the biggest in regards to both those topics?
The Giants with Landon Collins. Like, why cut a guy or not franchise tag him when there was a deal allegedly to be made last year when you could have got a first round pick? Like, why do that? And then on the heels of cutting him, you were in the market of signing Eric Weddle from Baltimore that was just cut that day.
Yeah, he just ended up with the Rams, right? Yeah.
Like,
great move by the Rams, by the way.
No doubt.
I think Eric Weddle. I'm a Patriots fan. I wish he was a Patriot. Dude, you want somebody like Eric Weddle on your team. Great leader, absolutely amazing safety. You want somebody like that.
Questionable in coverage, but everything else outweighs. Like, I can live and die with blown coverage every now and then. But no, I mean, Landon Collins, like, if you were just going to cut him, like, and you had that idea at the beginning of the year, pull the trigger on the trade, get a first round pick. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, Gettleman is losing his friggin' mind. Gettleman being the general manager of the New York Giants. Like, I don't know. That's my biggest snub. Yeah. I don't know what yours are, but
truthfully, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Landon Collins is probably a guy that I would go with as well, just because I see this one bit. I thought they were going to keep him, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, you got cut, you move on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, he's a free agent now, and hopefully somebody will pick him up. But
And like, what are the Giants doing? Like, not to go off on a tangent about the Giants real quick, but you get rid of Landon Collins, you trade Olivier Vernon to Cleveland for a guard. Granted, you shore up their offensive line, but who's on defense now?
Nobody.
Like,
absolutely nobody.
Like,
dude, the Giants are a dumpster fire. Like, my God,
they gotta fix. Like, either where are they in the draft?
They're
a top pick.
They're number 6, and from everything that everybody has projected in regards to mock drafts, he's gonna. Dwayne Haskins from Ohio State's gonna go ahead and be selected by the Giants at number 6. But they definitely have quite a bit to work out next year in regards to just the team in general.
Right. If for some reason, to play the what if game, if the Giants trade for Rosen, Dwayne falls to 13 for the Miami Dolphins. One, I'd be a happy camper.
You would like him?
And, I don't know who's going to be under center in Miami. Yeah. Like, Tannehill's potentially a roster cut to save salary cap, or Tannehill's era at the end of the day is going to come to an end.
Is the Tannehill era over now?
I think so.
In Miami?
I think so. Like, he only had like one good year, and by one good year, he didn't even finish the season off. Matt Moore had to finish the last 2 games and then got his head taken off in Pittsburgh in that wild card game.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I literally thought homeboy died. Homeboy being Matt Moore. I thought he was dead. So, yeah, I think Tannehill's going to be a salary cap casualty, I'm pretty sure. And we need a quarterback. Like, if New York takes Rosen in a trade, and hopefully they won't even have to fucking buy that high, because word on the street is Rosen, best case, is a 2nd or a 3rd round pick. Mm-hmm. You do that. I could see the Giants drafting someone on the defensive side of the football at what, 6th, 7th?
Yeah, they're at number 6, and I think they'll take Dwayne Haskins. I think that's going to be a good fit for those guys. You take a established quarterback, you take him and you draft him, and you kind of sit him behind Eli Manning for a year. He learns under Eli, and hopefully have a smooth transition, just kind of like how the Chiefs did it with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
I think if you go ahead and you stick Dwayne with Odell and Saquon, I think you're vying for the NFC's championship. But then again, that's just my opinion, just being the homer I am from Ohio State. I think Dwayne Haskins is pretty awesome. But
for the guy that's not an Ohio State fan, that move to get Dwayne Haskins makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we've said that for almost 3 weeks now.
Yeah, so. I think even you agree that Dwayne Haskins is a fairly decent prospect, and I would take him over Kyler Murray, truthfully, at the end of the day. But
he's got the goods. He's got the body size. He doesn't have a long motion.
He's got the arm strength, throw it a fucking million miles. So, I don't know, man. I think the Giants should be smart and just take Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
You know?
So, where are we at? We at mailbag now?
Yes, hit the mailbag up, man.
All right, so J_Boots.
Oh, two weeks in a row.
Back at us again.
Mr. Bootot.
His question is, if Cam's shoulder surgery recovery becomes an issue, would you sit him for a year? Would it then be time to move on from him the next offseason?
Yeah, I think when it comes to shoulder injuries, man, and if it's not done properly and the actual healing process doesn't work out the way you want it to work out, you gotta sit him down for a whole year, man. I think what the Colts did with Andrew Luck, pushing him back too quickly, kind of,
that set him back a year.
Yeah, exactly, set him back a whole year. So I think you play it safe here, because this is basically it for Cam Newton. You're gonna find out if he's gonna be the franchise quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years, or are you gonna move on from him? So you sit him for a year, figure out exactly how bad the injury is, have him full strength, come back and try to perform to see if he's worth investing more time and money into. Because if not, then you move on. What's the point of being middle of the pack? I mean, I hate teams that are middle of the pack all the time. There's no point of being middle of the pack. You either are really good or you're really bad. So with Cam Newton, you go ahead and sit him for a year if he's not healing properly, and you try to go ahead and figure out if he's going to be your franchise quarterback going forward. Right.
No, I'm with you too. And especially, like, it's hard to be air quote middle of the pack in the NFC South, because that division is so wide open, with New Orleans and Atlanta and Tampa Bay improving their coaching staff. I think I'm with you too. You definitely have to, if there's any question about Cam Newton, sit him.
Yeah.
Like, sit him down, preserve at least another year with him.
Who's
Like,
their backup?
I know Ron
Who's their backup
Rivera's...
quarterback?
What's up?
Who's their backup
I
quarterback?
think Taylor Reineke. He looked good.
Yeah. He's the guy that went into the Saints last year and beat the Saints, right?
Right.
Yeah,
but it was kind of like the Saints were starting Bravo Company, though, so in New Orleans' defense. But, yeah, you definitely have to sit him. I mean, I get it that Ron Rivera's job is now in question. Like, people have been calling for his head for a long time now down in Carolina. But, I mean...
Yeah, I was shocked that they brought him back, man. Like,
right.
he's one of those coaches I thought was just going to be fired at the end of the year.
Right, he's a defensive coach in an offensive-minded league. Mm-hmm. But, no, I mean, like I said, Cam Newton, if there's any question, just sit him. Get them ready for next year, because then if you don't have to go down the route of Andrew Luck, where there was a bunch of question marks, and then they spent a draft pick on getting Jacoby Brissett, and there's just so much.
Jacoby Brissett.
But you know what? He did a really decent job. Mm-hmm. He could be a starter in waiting. Like that's no shade against him. The second question, that's by the way, J_Boots, good one by the way. The second question. From Hercules 2424.
Dude, that's like 3 weeks in a row for our boy. Freddie,
our
right?
boy Freddie. So, besides our favorite team, what's the best and worst NFL jersey of any era?
Good question. So the best, in my personal opinion, besides the Patriots, Color Rush uniforms is going to be the 1980s Bears uniforms. Just the solid blue with the number 2 and the GSH on the side of the sleeves. I think that's an iconic football jersey. You wear, truthfully, if I have to be real about it, besides the Patriots, I'm a big fan of the Bears in general. Everything about the city with Mike Ditka and the Soldier Field and the Chicago Deep Dish Pizza. I love everything about it. So I think, in my personal opinion, the Bears uniforms from back in the 80s were absolutely amazing. Additionally, with the worst uniforms, I think the Buccaneers creamsicle uniforms, I absolutely hate everything about them. I hate the colors. I hate the logo. I don't know why they keep bringing them back, but just fucking go away with that shit. There's no point of that.
You know what? All right, Hercules 2424, a.k.a. Freddie, a.k.a. D-Dub alum, as your fellow D-Dub alum over here. I'm going to go with my favorite jersey being the Houston Oilers throwback jersey. It was super simple. It was like powder blue. You had that oil rig logo on the side of the helmet. Earl Campbell running through A gaps, running people over in those powder blue jerseys. I'm all about that life. The worst for me, I'm going to give Tampa Bay a pass. I actually like those creamsicle jerseys.
What?
I'm going to go with the Bumblebee /
prison
stripe Pittsburgh Steelers jerseys. Like my former coworker Joe up at the Merrimack Middle School is a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but I don't care. Those jerseys are atrocious. I can't tell if you're on a chain gang or if you're trying to go back to the Hive. I don't want anything to do with those jerseys. Those are my worst.
Yeah,
hands down.
Yeah.
No question.
Those are solid choices right there. I got that.
Now, leading to that. We've been talking about this in pre-production for about 3 weeks, Jay. Mm-hmm. What are the all-time teams for the Pro Football Radio podcast? In regards to the hosts, what would if you were a GM, you could go back in time. Who are you drafting to be in your team?
It's very simple. You start with Tom Brady.
Okay.
As your quarterback.
Here we go.
Draft the greatest of all time.
Hashtag here we go.
I don't know why you're hating, but 6 Super Bowl rings right there, baby.
There we go.
You'll take Brady. I'll take Brady at quarterback. I'll take Walter Payton as running back. I think that's a solid choice. Mike Allstott at fullback, right?
Yep.
The thing with fullbacks is nobody else is really that great, right? Who else are you going to take?
It's like a forgotten position.
I can't even think of a second fullback, okay? I'll take Rice at wide receiver. I'll take Moss at wide receiver.
There you go.
Right? Very great tandem there. Rice can run the slot. Moss can run the outside down the field. Gronk will be my tight end. In regards to kickers, I'll take Adam Vinatieri. Can't go wrong with that. Hall of Famer. And then 2000 Ravens, that's my defense. I'll take Ed Reed and what's the guy's name? I forget his name.
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis. My God, Ray Lewis.
Was Terrell Suggs on that team then?
I don't think he was.
I don't think he was either.
I don't think he was. But I'll take that team as a defense, and that's a great team right there.
Okay,
man.
all right.
How about you, man? How about you, Mr. Puma?
For Da Puma all-time teams, quarterback, you got to have Dan Marino.
Why is that?
I mean, the guy...
Like, when you say Brady or Joe Montana, then you can just easily move on from that. But when you say something stupid like Dan Marino as your quarterback, who's never won a Super Bowl title, I have to ask, why is that?
Or I could have said Jim Kelly, who went to 4 Super Bowls and lost. But the point being, Dan Marino had a hell of an arm. You want to talk about Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball a country mile? The guy could throw the ball deep. He got the ball out quick. No questions asked. Dan Marino is my quarterback. Honestly, that was a toss-up between Marino or Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly was insane as well, too. So, I'm
Have
going
you heard of quarterbacks like Peyton Manning,
Yep.
Tom Brady,
Yep.
Joe Montana, Brett Favre?
Yep.
Um,
Let's see.
Kenny Unitas.
Brett Favre, too many picks. Peyton Manning, a little bit of a noodle arm. Tom Brady, early in his career, could throw the ball down the field. Now he's
Oh my God! Here we go. Just the unnecessary dig and shot of my boy Tom Brady.
You're taking shots at Dan Marino. So what are we talking about here?
Oh.
Dan Marino's a Hall of Famer. That's all I'm saying. Dan Marino's my guy. Running back, I'm gonna go Walter Payton with you as well too. There's no way you can have an all-time team and not have Sweetness on there. Like that man.
How did the name come around? Sweetness.
It's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. Chicago lore, man.
He's like a sweet man.
I mean, he was a great guy. There's a reason why they have the Walter Payton Man of the Year award named after him.
Yeah.
So, Mike Allstott is also my fullback. I'm going different at wide receiver. Plot twist. I'm going Andre Reed, the pride and joy of Buffalo. The guy had no fear going across the middle. You want to talk about toe drag swag, had incredible hands. Before OBJ was even like a thought with his pops. No. Andre
Reed. Do you
Reed,
just say stuff to piss me off? Andre Reed?
Have you seen it? Have you seen any of his tape?
No, I don't know.
You should. You should.
I don't know who he is.
Andre Reed, man, dude, no fear.
Can I ask a question? Do you look both ways before you cross my nerves?
Maybe. But no, honestly, I didn't think of Andre Reed just to piss you off. Andre Reed, 1, is a Hall of Fame wide receiver. 2, was my wide receiver as a kid growing up. And 3, look at the tape. The guy had no fear going across the middle. Incredible hands. Built like a brick shithouse. Toe drag swag. He could make any catch you needed him to make. And in that comeback win against the Houston Oilers in Buffalo to get them to the Super Bowl with Frank Reich, when they were down like 1,000,000 points to 3, he got 3 of those touchdowns. Andre Reed is the man. And then second wide receiver, Torrey Holt.
Oh my God, Torrey Holt.
Argue with me.
Oh my God.
The guy, if he isn't a Hall of Famer.
Have you heard of like great wide receivers?
Okay, so I could have went Marvin Harrison, Isaac Bruce.
I can't. Brandon.
Reggie Wayne. What are we talking about here?
Brandon, I go ahead. It's your list, man.
Torrey Holt, the
ahead.
greatest show on turf. Like, won a Super Bowl ring his rookie year. Same deal. Could take the top off of defense. He was one of the he was the cheetah before Tyreek Hill was even in the league. Probably before he was even playing Pop Warner. So Torrey Holt, my second wide receiver. Tony Gonzalez is my tight end.
Wow, you finally have a decent pick.
Okay, you can watch tape after, but Torrey Holt and Andre Reed are solid picks at wide receiver.
All right, go for it.
Tony Gonzalez, enough said. The guy's a Hall of Famer, gamer at tight end. It's a shame he didn't win a Super Bowl ring. Kicker, plot twist. Mort Anderson, man. You got to go with Mort. He got the one face mask bar. He was like the all-time points leader in the NFL, I think, until Vinatieri broke it, either last year or the year before. You got to go Mort Anderson. And then defense, God, I was torn between either the 85 Bears or the 01 Buccaneers. I'm going to go with the 01 Bucks just because,
yeah.
One, I saw them, Mike Allstott's my guy, so naturally you have to follow the Buccaneers. You have Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice, John Lynch, and Rondé Barber in the secondary. That was a solid defense, and that defense and that team probably should have won more Super Bowls besides the one they had with John Gruden.
Yeah.
If only Tony Dungy...
If only Tony Dungy was still there, right?
If only Tony Dungy did more on the offensive side of the ball, who knows?
Yeah.
It would have been more than one ring.
Why did Tony Dungy get fired, or was it just
They didn't win when it counted. For the longest time, Philadelphia was Tampa Bay's kryptonite in the playoffs. Every time they had the NFC Championship game there, they lost. Whether it was with Brad Johnson or Sean King as quarterback, they just couldn't get over the hump until 2002. Oh, I'm sorry. 2002 Buccaneers is what I meant, not 2001, because the Patriots won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, they did. Go Patriots.
So, 02 Buccaneers. That's my defense.
That's not bad, man. Good questions. We got any more questions or no?
That's it. That's it question-wise this week.
All right. I think we have a special guest today. We have your significant other, Tara Evans, joining the podcast. If Tara would bring herself into the room, that'd be wonderful. Welcome to the show, Tara Evans.
Thank you.
I heard you have a question for us.
I do.
What's the question?
So, for each of you, if you could pick one person in the NFL league, alive or dead, who would you bring to dinner with us tonight?
Oh, wow.
Who would we bring to dinner with us tonight?
Great question, Miss Evans.
I'm going to go with Vince Lombardi, only because I saw the HBO special on him. Homeboy could knock those drinks back. Yo, I feel like a drunk Vince Lombardi would be a good time. For better or for worse.
I feel like anybody from the 60s drunk would be a good time. There's like no filter in the 60s. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
There's no holding it back like we do nowadays. It's just say whatever you want to say.
There you go.
Grandpa Lombardi saying
Vince
some
Lombardi.
fucked up shit.
Let's go, Vince. Let's go. First round's on me, homeboy.
Yeah. For me, man, I don't know, man. Probably Tom Brady. At the end of the day, I'd love to meet Mr. Brady himself.
Does it have to be one person? Can it be two? Can I bring Vince and one other? Can the guy have a plus one?
You can have a plus one. Definitely.
Okay, so Vince is going to have a plus one, and Vince's plus one is going to be Dan Marino. Just because, one, he's a blue-collar guy from Pittsburgh. So imagine if you got...
I'll repeat again. Do you look both ways before you cross my fucking nerves?
Imagine if you get Dan Marino blitzed, and then, we ask you about his extramarital affair or
Dan
something.
Marino's always pissed regardless when he's not even blissed. Like, could you imagine?
Dan Marino...
Could you imagine him ruining our dinner tonight?
Dan Marino is not going to... Dan Marino's a good time. You hold your tongue, sir. You hold your tongue. So, who is Tom Brady's plus one?
Giselle Bundchen. I would love to. I would love to talk to them both.
This guy, psycho Brazilian, want no part of that. God bless you, sir. God bless you.
Or I would love to see Tom Brady and Bill Belichick sitting down, having a couple of drinks, and just seeing if there is that actual...
I don't think Tom Brady drinks, though. That might not be on the TB12 diet. Sure they don't make an avocado booze that he can drink.
I'm sure they do, man.
I looked at the liquor store today. I looked at the liquor store and I picked up, the Heart of Texas Tito's handmade vodka, craft made out of Austin, Texas. No, I didn't see any avocado nonsense sitting out there.
Wow. Well, regardless, our first ever guest was Miss Tara Evans. Thank you for swinging by the podcast. Do we have anything else we want to get to? Or
I think that's it. I think we just got to get to the plugs. So
let's plug it up.
Plug
19 million plugs here.
So we got a million. We got a million now. So you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Pro Football Radio Podcast. You can follow us on the Twitter at PFR Podcast. You can follow your hosts on Twitter, Brando_Puma and Jay Cheema at Jay Cheema. And Jay, besides SoundCloud, what else are we on for listening content wise?
So we're on SoundCloud, obviously, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and then Stitcher. The four main platforms you can find our podcast on. Additionally, we're working to try to get on iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, and iTunes. We're trying to attack all fronts, man.
Sick. And for those of you guys that have asked,
speaking of which, did you see that we have two listeners from Ireland? Like, which two poor souls in Ireland stumbled upon our podcast?
Especially after this episode.
To us. Like, what are they doing with their sad lives?
Hey, who knows, man? Hey, I mean, football's getting big in Europe. They keep going to England, Ireland's right there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're also going to be getting some content pretty soon up on the YouTube. So stay tuned for updates in regards to that. Otherwise, Jay Cheema, I don't have anything else for you.
I want to discuss one last thing.
Okay.
I had a pretty bad Friday night last night.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
A lot of things happened, but I want to give you a quick summary of what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get off work. It's been a long day, right? You know, everything goes wrong at work. So you're like, you know what? Let me go and get some pizza. And I go to the pizza shop. And instead of getting a whole pizza, I get like 2 slices. I get a regular cheese pizza, my go-to, right? And I decided to get some crap pizza that I was duped into getting, which was called a sweet and sour Chinese pizza. Now, I don't know why they felt the need to enhance pizza by adding with Chinese food, but the guy behind the counter kind of was like, hey, it's the last slice. Why don't you go ahead and get it? I promise you'll be great. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, well, this guy seems like he's fairly... Do you want to say anything? You look like you're so mad. But the guy seemed like he was like, he knew what he was talking about.
I wish we had a fucking YouTube channel just to show my facial expression.
Well, listen, then I get worse. And I want to talk about
how does it get worse?
Well, I go home and I eat my slice of cheese pizza and my crap ass fucking Chinese pizza, and I decide to watch a show called Leaving Neverland. Have you heard about this or no?
Michael Jackson?
It's this Michael Jackson documentary that came out. And listen, I missed the whole boat on Michael Jackson because...
Hang on a second. How did you miss the boat on Michael Jackson?
Because listen, I was... 1988 is when I was born.
I was born in 88 too.
Listen, I grew up in a very,
conservative household?
Yeah, a household that's very you know what I'm saying? Very conservative. So I missed the whole boat. And around 2000 when I started listening to pop music and Sync and Britney Spears and watching football, Michael Jackson was already over with, if that makes sense. So I didn't realize this kid was out there just raping little kids, man. So I decided to start watching this documentary. And it just makes my night even worse, man. How did somebody let this happen back in the day? Who didn't know that he was out there raping little kids, man? I don't understand how nobody stopped this. And then after the documentary, I started Googling Michael Jackson, and apparently he's really big. And
apparently he's really big.
Dude, there's every other pictures with him with some kid, right? Macaulay Culkin or this Wade Robinson kid that was on the fucking documentary. And how did nobody look at Michael Jackson and say, yo, this doesn't seem right? How did nobody stop that, bro?
Go look at R. Kelly. That's all I'm going to say.
That's another subject for a different day.
How's that another subject for a different day? Let's look at all. You know what? Finish the fucking pizza story before I start going off on that.
Well, listen, the main gist of it is I feel like pizza should be regulated. You know what I'm saying? At the end,
pizza should be says the guy that had a fucking Chuck E. Cheese conspiracy theory pizza.
I take my pizza seriously. All right. At the end of the day.
Okay. Obviously not serious enough if you get a Chinese food stuff on your fucking pizza.
It looked great. The presentation was amazing. There was a little bit of sweet and sour chicken on there. There's some broccoli, some sesame seeds.
You know what? I have no sympathy.
Listen,
you didn't have to order the goddamn Chinese food pizza. You could, if you wanted Chinese.
I was trying to be cultured. I was trying to branch out of my little bubble of trying to eat cheese pizza all the time.
Fucking get 3 cheese. Get a margarita pizza. Get some other shit. There's some
Listen,
things.
The bigger point is, they need to regulate pizza. They need to not make stupid concoctions like this. Hawaiian pizza. What's the point of that?
I'd rather have Hawaiian pizza than fucking Chinese food pizza.
But still, I think pizza is good enough as it is with cheese and pepperoni.
Maybe people in Hawaii want Hawaiian pizza. Maybe they want that. Who knows?
Okay, but either way, you're
just gonna alienate the state of Hawaii?
Yeah. What have they ever done for us? They do nothing.
What have they ever done for us?
What has Hawaii done for the United States?
One, they were pretty much illegally overtaken by the Dole Pineapple Company and overthrown the last monarchy.
What is this? Where is this coming from?
In the United States.
What's going on? Explain this. What do you mean?
I'm just saying, they were illegally taken over. Look at your goddamn history, homeboy. I'm just saying. Don't be casting any shade against Hawaii. That's all I'm saying.
Regardless, the main gist is, man, don't try sweet and sour Chinese pizza.
One, I had no desire to try sweet and sour pizza.
It's like a PSA. I'm trying to make sure you understand that it's crap pizza.
Well, I'm going back to
and also
unless the guy at the pizza shop held a fucking gun to your head saying,
he was
eat
so
this pizza or else.
He was like, oh yeah, you should try this. It's a great pizza. Everybody loves it. It's last.
You're a salesman. You know the bullshit. Come on.
Well, he sold me what there's only one last slice left, and everybody bought it because it was so great. And I was like, oh, dude, it makes perfect sense.
Wow. You are something else. You are something else.
And then, you know, as my night wasn't bad enough, I went home and I watched that Leaving Neverland documentary. Dude, no lie, dude, that's some riveting stuff, man. It's, I don't know if you have HBO, but if you watch that, dude, it's just fucked up.
I don't have HBO, but I did watch the R. Kelly interview last night.
That's next on my list. How was that?
And
you said the interview or the actual documentary?
Well, like the interview. I didn't watch Surviving R. Kelly, but what I will say is, you know, I'm gonna presume everyone is innocent until proven guilty, because that's where we live in the United States of America. I'm gonna presume that R. Kelly is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law.
America.
He did beat previous cases in regards to this, but what I will say is, how did R. Kelly or someone in his entourage convince his lawyer to let R. Kelly go on national television and do this interview?
Yeah, the guy's unhinged, man.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like me in fantasy football at times with like, yo, motherfuckers are killing me.
Yeah.
I'm fighting for my life, bro.
Yeah, that's
like
bad.
he said nonsense like that, and it's like, how, you are doing stuff of a guilty man. Like, how did they let you on national television?
News, man. I felt uncomfortable watching that interview. I literally was like watching it every night. I felt uncomfortable watching it in my own living room. So I can only imagine how Gil King, the CBS reporter, felt in that situation. You know?
Like, I think either his lawyer or his air quote crisis prevention person had to come in and talk him down. But like, it looked bad.
Yeah.
Like, he was better off not doing that interview.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And the whole Michael Jackson thing as well, man. Like, I think if you do watch it, it is pretty fucking brutal.
Well,
man.
You know what? Like I'll say with MJ and what I'll say with R. Kelly in regards to the teenagers going to the house. Granted, MJ beat those cases somehow.
Oh my God!
R. Kelly
and if you watch his documentary, you see how he beat them. MJ beat them by manipulating his past abusers, Wade Robinson and Jimmy Shafchuk, to testify for him. Like he abused them, but then he was so smart about this shit that he got into the families and said, "Hey, listen, you know he's a great guy.
But
testify for
what
him."
I will say, all right, so MJ was tried twice, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, twice.
And so is R. Kelly. Yeah. So what I will say hang on, I'm not done. Let me finish my thought.
In this country with a certain amount of money, you can get.
Let me finish my thought.
Go for it.
Is what I'm gonna say is, after beating 2 cases, who are these fucking parents that let these people?
That's awesome. Yep.
Who are these parents that let these people sleep overnight at a alleged pedophile's house? Mm-hmm. Or in the case of R. Kelly, technically he's a pedophile. So yes, who lets them be associated with the pedophile, overnight at a pedophile's house? Like, I'm not trying to do victim blaming here, but there are legitimate questions to ask of where were these parents? Who in their right mind? Like, am I going to say, hey, Marcus, this person, Michael Jackson, wants you to sleep over at Neverland House? I'm not going to fucking do that. Yeah. There's no goddamn way I'm going to do that. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Of course. No, dude, you watch these documentaries, I'm like, I never want to have kids ever. Like, how did this shit happen? How do parents get blinded by this shit, you know? So, I don't know, man. It's really interesting into how, especially the Michael Jackson documentary. You got to watch it. It's high production value. HBO put a lot of money into it, and it's like a national conversation now. But my God, man, like, how do you let something like that happen?
My bigger question is, how did we go from the plugs to child pornography, pedophilia, and rape? Well, how did we get there?
It was about my shit Friday night where I had bad pizza.
You let off with pizza.
I had bad pizza and I was like, well, maybe I should watch this documentary. Maybe it'll take my mind off the bad pizza. Made me feel much worse than before about the bad pizza. I mean, like, what was I gonna think? Like, child abuse and child rape was gonna be a good subject to watch? Regardless. And then I have a shit on call last night as well. It was a fucking shitty Friday night, dude.
I'm sorry. Do we have enough time to talk about weed in the NFL, or are we done?
We're like an hour and 9 minutes, dude.
Okay, so we're pretty much done.
Yeah, we should do it next week.
So we'll save weed for next week. So next week, teaser alert, the Cheema and Da Puma will be getting into the NFL drug testing policy, since some guy for the Dallas Cowboys that got suspended was caught on Instagram ranting and raving about how weed helps him calm down and do other things. So bigger subject coming up. Otherwise,
sorry, I'm gonna cut you off there. Go ahead.
Otherwise, you can follow us at PFR Podcast on Twitter, Pro Football Radio Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and TuneIn. Otherwise,
thank you so much for the support. We love you guys. Thanks for listening in. This has probably been our best week yet. We've had some fairly decent listens and some good numbers. So thank you. We appreciate every single one of you guys.
Vaya con Dios.